YouTube, what's good? It's your boy Ori, back with another reaction video. We're gonna be reacting to, I forget his name, 74 Gil. We were looking directly into the sun to find them, so you kind of have to manage your expectation for what we're able to do. Oh, I read the damn title. I didn't even read what it was about. But pilot blames for ATC mistake. Before we get into the video, I must say that I am a certified approach and airdrome air traffic controller. This is a pilot perspective creating the video, and now you're gonna have a controller perspective given forward, because pilots don't know, not all pilots know what our jobs entails, what is it that we're doing. Some of them have an idea, but they don't know exactly. But if I hear an air traffic controller, I can have a bad idea of what he's trying to do, what he's trying to accomplish when he told us pilot to do certain maneuvers. But let's get into the video.
We were looking directly into the sun to find them, so you got to kind of manage your expectations for what we're able to do.
I have to manage mine. So full stop landing only. You're done. Runway 30 number 3.
Hey, listen, I didn't mean to laugh. I don't have to manage mine. It is a full stop landing. You're done. I didn't mean to laugh. Oh, that's a sassy. I ain't gonna lie. He's a sassy one. I ain't gonna lie. Me, I wouldn't even give that much of a. I don't want to curse. I wouldn't care that much. Oh, that's a sassy. Hey, Kilo Sierra, Quebec Lima Tower. I don't know where that is, but you're a sassy one. I can Google where that is. Hold on. Let me Google
Imagine
that.
you tell air traffic control they need to manage their expectations of you, and their response is terminating your flight. Your flight's over. It's canceled. You're landing, and it's over. So who was in the wrong here? Let's find out.
So 00 Papa traffic you're following is at your...
I don't want to give an early judgment, but I have an idea already who's wrong. But I'm going to let it finish. Ah, fuck it. I'm going to say it already. From what I've seen so far, just a little clip it. I don't know if this is an early judgment. The controller had a little... He got his feelings hurt. And maybe a bunch of aircraft in the vicinity hearing this shit. He don't want his ego... He don't want to feel like his ego's being stomped, so he's trying to flex his muscle. That's what I got from it. Early, but I will watch the full video to see if that changes. Just saying.
2 o'clock and 2 miles entering a right downwind. You're number 3.
Number 3, looking for number 2 traffic on the right downwind, 6100.
Actually, number 4.
San Carlos Airport,
Just in
California.
case you don't understand what all this means, these pilots are fourth in line to land. And typically, pilots will fly a racetrack pattern, not a straight-in approach, especially when they're learning to land. And each one of these legs of the racetrack have a name. You have upwind, crosswind, downwind, base, and final.
There's one more too. Upwind. No, this is not up. What? Oh, my bad.
So assuming that this controller, which I'm guessing is true, is setting these things in the correct order, this is where they're at. The pilot should be here on the crosswind, and since the controller is saying his traffic is on the downwind at 2 o'clock, that would put him right here. Now, if you're like me, when I went to flight school and they talked about being able to find planes in the sky, I was like, how hard could it be? It's a plane, it's in the air. I mean, it's very easy to see when you're on the ground, you look up to see a plane, pretty simple. It is very different when you're there flying. When you're flying, you have a plane at a similar altitude, and usually if they're flying away from you, you don't see any of their lights. A lot of their lights are facing forward, or especially in the daytime, the lights really have very little impact because they're a couple miles away from you. So I know when I went to flight school and they would talk about traffic in different places, I was like, how can I not see this plane? But I've had it flying the 747 where there's someone and they can't find me. And I'm thinking, how can you not see this monster of a whale flying through the sky? It's very easy to see, but if you can't see a 747, you can imagine if you were trying to find a small Cessna, and this is a Cessna, and this is typically what people...
Oh. Trying to find a Cessna sometimes is literally like trying to locate a strand of hair. Oh my gosh. Locating a Cessna on base? Good luck.
People are learning to fly in, that in the daytime, when you're looking for something like that, it's not easy to find. And that's why some of the most famous fighter pilots and some of the best fighter pilots in aviation history were known for having better than average vision. For example, they said Chuck Yeager had a 20/10 vision, which means when he was 20 feet away, he saw what normal people would see 10 feet away. So you can imagine being a fighter pilot, having great vision is really important. Now, that's not always the case. I saw an interview by the most famous, I guess if you will, the most successful fighter pilot, the Red Baron, a German pilot, and he said in an interview that his vision was below normal. So it's not always the case. Sometimes it's tactics that make them better fighter pilots, but historically, they've always wanted fighter pilots to have great vision, and that's for being able to pick things up. Now with radar and all the other features that aircraft have now, it's different, but you can imagine being able to find traffic while it's having terrain with houses and cars and all kinds of other stuff on the background. It's not easy to see, especially unless it has lights on you. Now, at nighttime, it's very easy to find, but in the daytime, it's very difficult. Check this out.
6100 Papa, traffic you're following is at the CMAT plant. It's a Cessna 152. Reduce your speed.
Reducing speed, looking for traffic at the cement plant, 6100 Papa.
So 00 Papa, you have traffic in sight there just east of the CMAT plant on the right base.
Still looking, 6100 Papa.
It's important that you find these guys as quickly as possible.
Okay, so I guess they've moved further down the pattern now by this time in the audio. So now they're here in the traffic pattern, and the traffic they're looking for is on a base leg right here, and apparently they're over a cement plant, which is a reference point for this airport. Most flight schools have different landmarks that they'll use that they'll help you when you're learning how to fly, like, hey, at this point right about here, you should turn this way. And they'll use these different features because at the beginning when you're learning how to fly, it's hard to know, like, do I turn now? Do I go all the way out there? Or I don't really know what I'm doing. You don't know what you're doing, and so they'll use different landmarks on the ground. When you get further in aviation, then you start using the instruments that are on your computer screen or on your plane, whatever, depending how fancy your plane is, you'll use that as your reference point of when you should start doing things. So they're using that cement point as a reference point that they should know for that area. So this is the airport where everything is taking place at. This is the cement plant here, I think that they're referencing. So you can see it's a pretty close proximity to the airport. But this comment here from the controller,
it's important that you find these guys as quickly as possible.
That to me isn't really necessary. Obviously they're up there, they're flying, so this is a student pilot that he's flying. He's having to maintain his heading, where he's going, his altitude, his power settings, while looking for another plane. There is a lot going on, and he's talking on the radio. It's a lot, especially when you first start. It is very, very overwhelming the first while you're learning how to fly. It's very overwhelming. So trying to find another plane while you're managing all this stuff, it's easy to get distracted and spend too much time outside looking for the traffic, and then all of a sudden you're off your altitude and your instructor is like, altitude, 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 and they keep screaming that. That's just like something burned in my mind because that was something that my flight instructor would always say. You're 100 feet off, you're 100 feet off. You're all up and down all over the place. Like, it was a hot mess. So I know how hard it is to juggle all of those things at once. And at the very beginning, you don't even really understand how to trim the plane out so it would hold your altitude, so you had to focus less on the inside and more on the outside. So depending on where this guy is in his training, he could be having a hard time juggling all these things, but it's not really necessary to say, hey, you need to find it as soon as possible. They're trying. It's kind of like if you hand your keys to your friend and say, like, don't crash my car. Obviously, you wouldn't give them the keys if you thought they were going to crash their car, so there's really no point in saying that. The risk is that these pilots don't want to turn their base leg inside of these other pilots. If they turned inside, what ends up happening is now they're on the inside track and the plane that they're supposed to be following is out here. And if they continue the base leg, what ends up happening is they get very close to having a collision. So my guess is these pilots are aggressively looking outside, trying to find this traffic so they know when to turn their base leg so they're behind them on their way as they come in to land.
6100 Papa, I still don't have them in sight. Can I exit the pattern?
6100 Papa, traffic's at your 1 o'clock on the right base. Just make a normal right turn. This will be a full stop landing.
Normal right turn for full stop now, landing, 6100 Papa.
You want to go somewhere else, sir? I'm working too hard.
No problem.
Just 610 Papa Doug. Traffic is falling out. This is a bit of work. I need for you to turn back to the downwind.
Remember what I said in the beginning of the video?
Copy, turning downwind. 6100 Papa.
Okay, let me go back.
Papa, full stop landing. Is that your 1 o'clock?
Papa, I still don't have him in sight. Can I exit the pattern?
6100 Papa, traffic's at your 1 o'clock on the right base. Just make a normal right turn. This will be a full stop landing.
Normal right turn for full stop landing. 6100 Papa.
You want to go somewhere else, sir? I'm working too hard.
No problem.
Just 6100 Papa Doug. Traffic is falling out. This is a bit of work. I need for you to turn back to the downwind.
Copy, turning downwind. 6100 Papa.
You can hear that this pilot's a little bit uncomfortable with what's going on, rightfully so. He can't see the other traffic. And nobody wants to turn inside or have a midair thing where they hit another plane, because then you get a nickname like Midair Matty because, you know, you crashed in another plane in flight. You don't want to ever have a nickname. That's never good. And I think that's why he asked here if he could exit the pattern.
Can I exit the pattern?
Which truthfully is a smart decision. If you're not sure, it's...
Okay. In this situation, he said he can't find him. He can't see him. Extend your downwind. Extend. If you have multiple people coming in, extend him, get him out of the traffic pattern, extend him down. Or if you want to leave the pattern, leave him. And at that point, let him catch his bearings, let him know where he's going, and then you give him joint instructions, and you manage your traffic better. You know what I'm saying? But the saying the part, I feel like I'm working too hard. Unnecessary, because he's trying his best. It's not like he bullshitting. If he's bullshitting, yeah.
It's best to go always on the side of safety. That's something I always talk about. That's something I did in flight school. I still do it now. If I'm not sure about something, hey, what's the safest option? So his concern is, I don't know. I don't see this guy. You want me to just get out and then we can just push me back in when there's a little bit of spacing? That's what he's trying to do. But the controller's saying, hey, no, he's at your 1 o'clock. Just go ahead and make your right-hand turn now. You'll be fine. That's what he's saying. So you're having to rely on air traffic control because...
And that's another thing. Why are you tripping? If you told him, make a normal right turn. Okay, he make his right turn. So that means, what did you do wrong? You know?
You have them on the radar, and you're just looking outside, and you can't see them. But I did rely on air traffic control because they have them on the radar, and you're just looking out.
Okay, I wouldn't necessarily bank money on that because it could be a situation where that tower does not have a radar. So we can't necessarily say that statement. Oh, they have them on the radar. That control tower could be a procedure tower. Just saying.
Outside and you can't see them. But I did find it a little strange when the controller said this.
Make a normal right turn. This will be a full stop landing.
Usually it's not the controller that's saying, hey, it's going to be a full stop. It's usually the pilots. The pilots usually will say, we'd like an option, meaning you can land and then go around, or you can just land. They'd like the option to do both of those things. Or they're going to do a touch and go, means you just get the wheels down and then you full power and go up, which is what I did during flight school, and that just saves a lot of time. Or it's a full stop landing, meaning you're letting air traffic control know you're going to stop, it's going to take a little bit longer on the runway, and then you're going to exit the runway. So there's a few different options that you can do there. But usually it's the pilot saying, we'd like to make this a full stop landing, not the controller saying, this is going to be a full stop landing. That's a little strange because in flight school, when you do these touch and goes, you save all this time doing the land and then taxiing all the way back and then taking off again. And flight school's really expensive. You're talking about a couple $100 between the plane and gas and the flight instructor. So it is strange to me that you have places like Torrance in California where people have moved close to the airport, bought a house there, or live there, and then complain about the noise of small aircraft. Santa Monica is another one. You have a bunch of people, they move close to an airport, and they're like, oh, it's so loud with these planes. Well, yeah, they're small. It's a small airport. Planes take off and land there. Now, I get it. You got a lot of people in flight school. It's annoying. I personally find it annoying to be listening to planes take off and land all day, which is why I don't live next to an airport. People go live next to an airport, and then they require that school or that airport only do these returns where they taxi back and then take off again because they take off earlier in the runway and it means they're higher above the ground before they get over their house. I don't know. This is just a pet peeve of mine. I'm not in flight school anymore. I don't really care, but it does waste a lot of time and money for these people, and I find it weird because California is all about being green, but they're wasting all kinds of gas driving around on the ground before they take off again. I don't know, you can't have it both ways. Now, as for this comment here from the controller,
If you want to go somewhere else, sir, I'm working too hard.
define working too hard. The way I see it is this controller is creating a more difficult situation for himself.
Yep.
He told that guy to go ahead and turn in. So if he's turning in on that base leg, what he could have done if he felt like this is getting too tight is just separated them out. Sometimes you'll hear, continue your downwind, I'll call your base. And what that does is it
That's a extend downwind, I'll call your base. Meaning, when he was saying turning, he was on the base leg. The preceding traffic was on the base turn, and the succeeding traffic, which is behind him, was like, oh, I don't have, which I think it was 610 Sierra Papa. I don't have him inside. All right, continue what we say, well, the proper phraseology, extend your downwind, I'll call your base. Meaning, I'll keep going straight down the downwind. Don't make a normal pattern, make it long. I don't even have a pen to put it to shoulder and right. But anyway, keep it going straight down. And I'll tell you when to turn to come to join final. Or you can give them extend your 610 Sierra Papa, extend right downwind, join on a 5 mile final for runway 10. Or turn base on the 5 mile turn on base for the 5 mile final. Meaning go down 5 miles, turn right, and you proceed inbound.
spaces out the planes. And if he does that with enough, most of these planes are going about the same speed, unless you have some jerk like me who's flying around for fun and just seeing how fast I can do it, which I have done before. But I wouldn't do that in this kind of an environment where people are learning, because that's not nice to them. But most of these guys are going at the same very slow speed because they're trying to learn. So he could have extended the downwind out and spread these planes out. Instead, he's turning them in tight, making it more stressful for him. So for example, if he said, go past the cement plant before you turn in.
Good. I got like I said. So this guy coming in 6 November 610 Sierra Papa, extend on downwind, joining the 5 mile final for runway 32. I think that was the runway. So he's gonna join. Roger's gonna extend for 5 miles. Then while he's turning in, by the time he get to his 5 miles to join his base, this guy should be right here. While he making that turn to come over here to come in, he should be done line up for final, and then you get a smooth streamlined approach. Everybody coming in.
And on your base leg, he could get them to go further
See?
out.
I tell y'all I know a little something.
And if everybody started doing that, there'd be a lot more separation of these planes within one pattern. And if I was an air traffic controller, that's what I'd be doing, because then I could sit there at my desk and spread all these 5 or 6 planes out, stuff my face with my peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and then keep refreshing my Instagram and hoping that some super hot girl messages me and tells me that she's always wanted to date a pilot. But instead, this controller's deciding to keep it really tight, and he tells this guy to go ahead and turn in.
Make a normal right turn. This would be a full
I think
stop
he just was
landing.
bored.
And then he realizes that's too tight. So he turned him in and then realizes, okay, that's too tight. So now he needs to turn him back. And he seems kind of irritated that it's now tight, even though he's the one that turned them in tight. He could have just let him go out for another minute and then spaced it all out. So that's where we're at right now.
Tower 610 Sierra Papa, we're still negative on that traffic. We turned right there because that's what you told us to do.
610 Sierra Papa, traffic is falling. It's at your 1 o'clock and a half mile. Your traffic now says 0 Sierra Papa.
Traffic is in sight now, yes, yeah. We were looking directly into the sun to find them, so you got to kind of manage your expectations for what we're able to do.
You have to manage mine. It's a full stop landing only. You're done. Runway 30, number 3, clear to 1.
30, clear to
Oh, it's 30. I think I say 32A.
plan, and yeah, I'd be happy to talk about it later.
No, it's nothing to talk about.
Okay, you can decide whose side you're on. I've already made my decision based off of just that.
Like I said, I made my decision from the first time I hear it. That's all I heard. Y'all saw the decision I made.
Part right there. So it sounds like the instructor jumped on the radio. When you're in flight school, you have your instructor who is making you do everything. You have to be competent in flying your plane, running the radios, and doing everything. And it's stressful. It's a huge workload because your brain is overwhelmed with everything. The amount of information you're trying to process is a lot. And so it's overwhelming, basically. But at a certain point, the instructor goes, hey, this is too much, and we'll jump on the radio and start helping you out. That's what it sounds like is happening here. He's going, hey, this controller's crossing the line, which I had similar things happen to me when I was in flight school. When I was first flying, I had somebody behind me. I was first learning how to fly one of the instrument landing systems, like where you can't see out of the plane and you're just using your instruments. And I was all over the place. And the guy behind me gets on the radio and says, like, I don't know what this guy in front of us is doing. He is all over the place. And it's true, I was all over the place. I didn't know what I was doing. It was my first time flying, and so I was trying to just use the instruments that I was used to looking outside the plane. So it was a hot mess. And my instructor jumps on, and he's like, the guy's learning to fly. Give him a break. And he's like, he was an old, crotchety guy.
Listen, we was having this conversation yesterday at work. For every experience or new, whether it be controller, flight dispatcher, pilot, marshals, ticket agent, I'm only speaking for my field. For new people, give them a fucking break, man. Like, I can tell you one thing for sure. Like, I don't think none of us come inside it. Oh, I'm Mr. Macho, man. I got this. I can take over. Especially like pilots and air traffic controllers and flight dispatchers. You have people live in your hand. And you, look at me, you literally can go to jail. Right? So it's like, you don't want to fuck up. You really want to do everything correct. So it's like that little bit of nerve. You like, it's like screaming on somebody's neck ain't gonna help. Like give them a fucking break. Let them catch the break. Like, cause you were the same way when you first started, and I think that's something in the aviation field we tend to forget. We was that person at one point, and then we got better. So give that person the opportunity to get better as well.
It was just on the radio. Anyways, I wanted to say some things, but I bit my tongue. Anyway, so I continued to land. So there are times where the instructor will get on the radio and do that. Otherwise, during that stuff, I was running the radios and doing everything while looking inside. So that's normal. And the instructor jumping on the radio was the right thing to do. He's protecting his student, and he knows the controller's crossing the line at this point. Especially when you factor in the fact that they're staring into the sun. That makes it even harder. Button says he chose to say this.
I have to manage mine, so full stop landing only, you're done.
Now the instructor continues to do the right thing. He doesn't say, hey, no, we're going to have this discussion right now. He knows while they're flying, that's not the time to have the discussion. Let's go ahead and land the plane, and we'll talk about it on the phone on a landline when you're not busy watching a bunch of planes and I'm not busy watching my student and trying to fly a plane, because he's responsible for that aircraft, right? So he's saying, hey, we'll just talk about it on the ground, no big deal. The controller's not having any of that. So the instructor's doing the right thing. The student pilot is trying to make the best of what's doing. I can see he's struggling a little bit with the radio calls, but doing a really good job. And so these two pilots are doing everything right. This controller is not winning any favors, but watch how it ends.
And Tower 610 Sierra Papa, I totally understand. You're working really hard. We appreciate everything you do, but I need you to mark the tape in case we have to talk about this later.
Sierra Papa, you can call the company, sir. Runway 30, clear to land.
Wait, hold on.
Working really hard. We appreciate.
Sorry.
And Tower 610 Sierra Papa, I totally understand. You're working really hard. We appreciate everything you do, but I need you to mark the tape in case we have to talk about this later.
Sierra Papa, you can call the company, sir. Runway 30, clear to land.
30 clear to land. Still, you need to mark the tape.
There's no tapes. We're in the 21st century. That's 610 Sierra Papa, taxi press.
Okay. I don't think well, I don't know how they do stuff there. But where I work, we don't have access to the tape. Like, we can go to the tape and say, like, 610 Sierra Papa, what you could do, remember the date, remember the time it happened, and then they'd be able to go back and say, oh, at this date, at this time, that happened. So I would just write it on a piece of paper inside the cockpit, oh, at time, such and such and such. But he can mark, well, from my understanding, he can mark the tape. Say we're the 21st century. That's not actual tape, but it's not an actual tape. It's probably just some. It's a recorder-based software. I think it is, whatever it is. So more than likely, I don't know how y'all own this. I own the mic is in the ceiling. It records the entire room, and then on the frequencies on the consoles, it's recorded the back and forth audio from the pilots on every radio and every landline phone we have inside the tower. So literally everything is recorded. Even when we sitting down in the tower, bullshitting, talking for, that's recorded. Like, if you step there and say, but this guy gave me one STD the other night, that shit's recorded inside there. But it's not, but don't think of it, it's not like the audio in the tower, it's not like, oh, let's go see what they were talking about on November 16, 2000. Nah. You only play them shit when there's an emergency or something happened and have to pull back for records. But just talking shit, no. And even if, not that serious. Only for emergency.
Parking this frequency 6100 Papa. And just so I can be clear, you're terminating our flight.
00 Papa, you can go to Palo Alto, sir. I'm working 8 hours by myself today. I just don't have time to work this hard for a student. I'm sorry. I'll go to Palo Alto. We'll work it out.
That's fine. We'll terminate.
The flight instructor knows that this controller's crossed the line, and he's trying to get everything marked on the tape. Now, obviously, it's not a tape like it used to be, and there's no reason to make that. We still have that where we can push a button on our plane when we're flying right now. If something really dramatic happens, we can push a button, and that button records and creates a marker, if you will, so that way the maintenance guys can go in there and quickly find, like, hey, they pushed the button at this point, let's look at all the information right around here, and they can have everything. So there is a way to mark that, and that's all he's saying is like, mark this so that way,
no, we don't have that technology in the tower.
We're going to talk about this, and I want to be able to pinpoint this.
My one at least.
It's true he doesn't need to do that, and all this stuff gets recorded, and it's kept on, it's kept places, so it's not a big deal. He doesn't really need to mark it.
I know it's kept in places, but for our own, it's on these big recorders. The ATC is recorded on it. Like I say, the clearance, delivery, ground, guard, approach, tower, landline. If you call an ordering a sandwich downstairs by the cafe, that's recorded. Like we tend to do it at times. Like, say if we just want to order something, like one of us are going on the road, we use the landline to place the order. They'll hear that, but ain't nothing crazy. Just ordering food, somebody gonna pick it up. But nevertheless, yeah.
This time, this happened, and the FAA can go and pull that stuff. So it doesn't really have to mark it, but he's trying to make a point here. And then the controller says this.
You can call the company, sir.
Now, I've been flying for a while, and I have no idea who the company is. I mean, it's like
FAA.
AAA ATC? I don't really know. Most controllers are federal government. They're federal employees. So I'm guessing this guy is not. And what you'll have is contractors. So you'll have some people who used to be air traffic controllers for the government, and now they do contract work, maybe because it pays better or more flexibility or who knows what. So I'm guessing that's what he's saying when he says call the company. It would be pretty easy to find the number for the tower for a pilot, especially if that's a home base airport for them. They could easily find that number to the tower. But my guess is calling that guy and talking on the phone, you're not going to get a different result than you're getting here on the radio. He's not going to call this guy in the tower and have the guy say, hey, look, I apologize for putting you in too tight. It stressed me out. Please let me speak to your student so I can apologize to him too. Now, had he done that, probably would have been squashed. The controller could have said, hey, I really apologize, and they would have been like, whatever, let it go. My guess is that's not what happened, and if I was the instructor, I would have absolutely, and I hate doing paperwork, but I would have absolutely done the paperwork on this guy to get the FAA to pull those tapes and listen to it, because to me, a person who's unable to control their emotions in this type of environment with something as minor as this, like, this isn't a big deal. Like, the plane's in a little tight.
It's
You're
not.
working an 8-hour shift by yourself, then you shouldn't be by yourself. That's really the long and the short of it. If you can't handle a couple of student pilots flying around, then space them out more. Make them fly 5-mile finals to come in, whatever. I mean, do whatever it takes.
That's what I would have done personally. 5 miles. I'm like we say, I'm not trying to do a bunch of work. So especially if it's late in the afternoon, he said the sun's about to set. Bro, I'm on chill mode. I don't work 8 hours. First of all, y'all niggas going. Don't ask for too much. At this point, I just want you to follow him. Just follow him. You know? Your VFR, maintain on separation. Done.
To make it easy, but he's jammed himself up, and he's chosen to put the blame onto somebody else. Now, I'll let you decide why people have found it to be okay to not take responsibility for their own actions and not be held accountable. I'll let you all decide why things like that have started to happen. But that is the reality.
It's not that
he created
serious.
himself a problem, and now he's irritated at the instructor and the pilot and the student pilot and what they're doing. So saying comments like this,
There's no tapes, and we're in the 21st century.
indicate that he's not able to be a professional while doing this job, and that's not the type of person I would want in control of hundreds of people's lives while I'm having a bad day where there's something going on with my plane and I'm stressed out, and this guy has created a situation where now he's irritated and saying things like this. It's just not the personality traits for someone to do this job. And I agree, being air traffic control is extremely stressful. I don't think I would want to do that personally. The majority of my job is just hanging out and just chatting with somebody for hours while we just push some buttons. But that's a very stressful job. So I'm not saying it's for everybody, but somebody like this that is
sorry, guys.
not take responsibility for their own actions and then being irritated with the people that he's directing about how tight they are together, it just doesn't make any sense. And I don't think that it's really a good profession for somebody with those personality traits, unless maybe he was just having a terrible day. I guess that's for the FAA
No excuse.
to decide. I look forward to hearing from you. Until then, keep the blue side up.
All right, bro. I told you already from the minute I saw what he said. I tell you how I feel. It's just, bro. Me personally, Ari, I don't respond to smart mouth pilots. Like if he said, "Oh, you have to manage your expectation," I don't respond to that bullshit. Because why? Why should I respond to you? Like at that moment right now, you're beneath me. Because if you want to say some smart mouth shit to me, I'm not gonna entertain it. I'm not gonna entertain it. It's like, why should I waste my precious time bickering and arguing with you? Clear the land, runway 30. And I'm not even gonna say Roger. Okay, I'm gonna give you instructions. Just confirm you have the traffic in sight. Roger, runway 30, clear to land. Simple as that. All that extra chit chat and bantering bullshit is not needed. Save that for home. And if they always told us, like, as a controller, if I'm having a bad day or mentally I'm not here today, I know, like, just saying, me and the girlfriend or the wife arguing. I catch her giving some sloppy toppy to her. I walked in on her giving some neck to somebody. I'm about to lose my shit. I know that at this moment I'm not mentally fit to be to work, so I'm not going in. I'm gonna call in sick. My mental is the most paid, especially since I do procedural controlling. Everything is mental. I'm not fucking with it. Call me soft. Call me whatever you want. I don't care. I'm trying not to go to jail or hurt people or kill people, you know. But if you guys enjoyed the video, smash that like button, subscribe. Once again, I am a certified approach and air traffic controller, and this was my review and my thoughts. And I don't like doing shit like this to fellow controllers because they already think we got an ego, and I ain't gonna lie, some of us got an ego. So this is one of them. But I don't like doing it. But it is what it is. He fucked up, so be it. If you guys enjoyed the video, smash that like button, subscribe, comment. Until the next one, I'm out. Peace.